Hi, Hacks Recaps is here. Today, I'm going to explain a movie called Queen of the Damned. The film starts with the voice of vampire Lestat. Lestat tells that I have been sleeping for hundreds of years, and it is tougher to stay alive forever, but I am keenly interested in music. Then some persons begin to play the hard rock music near the coffin of Lestat. Hearing this noise, Lestat wakes up from his slumber, and he reaches that group after drinking the blood of some people, and they all people become so afraid, seeing Lestat. But Lestat offers them something instead of killing them. Lestat says, "Make me a part of your group. I will make all of you renowned, otherwise you all will be died." Hearing this, all people are scared, and they make Lestat a part of their group. Now Lestat also becomes a part of that group, and he begins to sing. At the first sight, this group gets the popularity throughout the world. Then Lestat arranges a conference where many reporters and journalists had visited. Social media members ask the questions from Lestat, that all vampires conceal their identity, but you did not hide your identity. There is also a rumor that all other vampires also wake because of your song's lyrics. Lestat responds them, "Nothing is gained after hiding the identity, and I wish that all other vampires may not hide their identity. Yeah, it is truth that rest of the vampires are also awakened because of my song's lyrics, and I want to invite all other vampires through this conference, that they must visit in the next show which going to be held in Death Valley." After conveying this, he turns off the online conference. Scene changes and a girl named Jessie is seen, who is sleeping. She dreams in which she witnesses herself younger, where Jessie's aunt says to her, "Never ever be like us." Saying this, Jessie's aunt's eye begins to bleed, and Jessie starts to drink that drop of blood, but her aunt stops her for doing so. It is seen here that Jessie's aunt was also a vampire, and she did not want to transform Jessie into a vampire, and Jessie used to have this dream forever. After this, she wakes up, and she starts to read a book while waking up. At the same time, she listens the song's lyrics of Lestat, and Jessie had started to feel awkward listening this, so Jessie comes to her officer after noting all the lyrics, where she used to work regarding paranormal activities. She tells everyone, "Coming there, I have known about a club, where many vampires visit, so we should investigate." Moving to that club. Meanwhile, Jessie's senior named David reaches there. He shows some of the paintings to Jessie, calling her into his room. He shows to Jessie a sketch of a man named Marius. David tells Jessie, "Marius is the same man who had transformed Lestat into a vampire, and I have collected all type of information from the journal of Lestat. I can show you this if you are willing, but you will have to promise later you will never collect any sort of information about the vampires, because it is very risky." Then Jessie agrees with David. Now Jessie starts reading the journal of Lestat, and the past life of Lestat is shown with this, where Lestat was a soldier, and a man named Marius leads him to his castle, where he tells him, "I have chosen you to transform into vampire." Saying this, he makes Lestat drinks his blood. After this, Lestat is turned into vampire, and Marius takes him for a walk later, and Marius also warns Lestat with this, "Leave the last drop of blood of that man whom blood you will drink. Otherwise, you will also be met your end like the same man. Moreover, no vampire can go outside in a daytime, otherwise, the sunlight will take our lives." In the meantime, Lestat notices a girl while playing a violin, who is sitting along with her father, so Lestat starts to play the violin with her. Then he is too much lost in the music, that his eyes begin to glisten, that is observed by the father of that girl, and he soon asks his daughter to escape from here. At the same time, that girl begins to run from there, but Marius sucks the blood of that girl's father instantly, appearing from backside, and he asks Lestat to kill that girl so she may not reveal the reality of Lestat to anyone. This is the cause. Lestat kills that girl. After this, Lestat begins to play violin again, coming at home, but his violin stick is fallen down. As he starts to pick his violin stick, then he notices a button there. A door is opened before him while pressing this button, and Lestat enters that door here. He observes, moving inside, there were the statues of a king and a queen. Now Lestat also begins to play that violin before those statues. Meanwhile, Queen spreads her hand ahead. Seeing this, Lestat is very scared, as Lestat observes the statue of that queen coming to it. Then he notices the veins in her hand. It means that statue was alive. Now Lestat drinks blood from the statue's vein, and he loses his consciousness, drinking that blood. Then Marius ties Lestat there while appearing there. Marius tells him as Lestat restores his senses, that you have drunk the blood of the queen of vampires. You had to avoid this, because king and queen had sucked the blood of thousands of people together. They had stopped sucking the blood when they had quenched their appetite, so they both had turned into the statues. Due to this, Lestat had also become so vigorous because he had sucked the blood of Vampire's queen. Now Lestat says ill for Marius, and Marius leaves Lestat forever. After this, Lestat comes near those statues, but those were not at that place, so he becomes so angry on this. Now movie moves to the current scene. Jesse had got much information about Lestat now, but Jesse was curious to get more details about Lestat. After this, Jesse comes to the same club where the number of vampires present. There were also many human beings who had come there to transform into the vampires. Meanwhile, Jesse is surrounded by some of the vampires, and Jesse tells them, I am also a vampire. It is Marius who has transformed me into a vampire. This Jesse's conversation is heard by Lestat. At the same time, Jesse leaves that place. Then vampires capture her, coming outside, but Lestat makes those vampires run, appearing there. After this, he asks question from Jesse. How do you know about Marius? She replies on this, I know everything, and you have also been turned into a vampire by Marius. Hearing this, no shocking feeling develops in Lestat. He says to Jesse, you have known about me through my journal. Saying this, he leaves that place. Next day, Jesse contacts David. She tells him, I am going to Death Valley to watch the show of Lestat, but David informs Jesse, there will visit more vampires. They want to kill Lestat if he reveals the reality, so you should not move there. But Jesse does not agree with him, and she moves to Death Valley. And Marius had come after many years to meet Lestat. Seeing him, Lestat is left so astonished. Marius says to Lestat, I have just come here to warn you, because Vampire's queen has awoken because of your song's lyrics, and she has also sucked the blood of Lestat after killing him. Lestat says on this, let her come. I damn care. On the other side, Vampire's queen is seen who had reached that club. Hearing Lestat's song lyrics, she becomes so aggressive, seeing many vampires there. At the same place, she eats the heart of a vampire, taking it out. Later, she burns all vampires to death. On the other side, Jesse is seen who had reached the Death Valley now, and Lestat asks a question from Jesse, witnessing her. Why have you come here? Casting a glance at his Lestat's journal, she says, turn me into a vampire, and I want to feel this. Which feelings are emerged after being a vampire, but Lestat forbids him. In spite of this, Jesse is not convinced. Then Lestat brings her into a park where she witnesses that a vampire was going to suck the blood of a girl, but that vampire escapes from there after being afraid from Lestat. After this, Lestat kills that girl after sucking her blood. Seeing this scene, Jesse is more scared. Now the show had started at night and thousands of people had visited there to watch it. And Jesse and David are also among of them. David had approached there to rescue Jesse. All people are excited with the arrival of Lestat on the stage. There were also some vampires among those people, who had come here with the aim to kill Lestat. Some vampires attack him as Lestat completes his show, and Lestat also attacks them in return. At the same time, Marius appears there to save him. Now Lestat gets too satisfied. Seeing Marius there were large number of vampires. Suddenly, some vampires begin to burn there. They turn into ash after burning and disappears later. Then there is a great explosion on the stage. As a result, Vampire's queen appears there. Jesse is also taken with one of the vampires with him. On the other side, Vampire's queen also takes Lestat along with her, and she tells Lestat, I have killed the king. Now I want you to make a king. And she says, there will be our governess on the whole world. Then she makes him to suck her blood, taking him into a house. As Lestat drinks the blood of Queen, then he begins to have the horrible sights. Contrarily, Jesse wakes up at the same place which was being dreamt by her, and Jesse's aunt appears at the same place, and she tells her, we all are vampires. Jesse's aunt also reveals to her, I and my companions want to kill Vampire's queen, because she kills the human beings in order to enhance her powers. On the other side, sunlight was coming on Lestat when he wakes up. Seeing this, Lestat is frustrated, but that sunlight was not affecting negatively on him. When Lestat comes out of the house, then he observes there were many lying dead bodies of the people, and these people had been victimized by the vampire's queen. Seeing this, Lestat feels so ill. Meantime, Queen appears there, and she tells Lestat, I get powers after killing the people. Due to this, I can also walk under the sunlight. I have made you drink my blood so you can also survive under the sunlight. On the other side, those vampires are seen with Jesse, who wanted to kill the queen. Lestat and Queen also approach there. Queen also says to everyone, kneel down before her, but no one obeys the order of Queen, and she becomes aggressive on this. She orders Lestat to kill Jesse, so he makes Jesse unconscious after biting. Now Jesse had also turned into vampire after being bitten by Lestat. Now Lestat says to Queen, I want to suck your blood. Consequently, my powers will be enhanced through this. In this way, I will kill all of them soon. Then Lestat begins to suck the blood of that queen, and he gives the signals to other vampires through his eyes while sucking the blood. All the vampires may attack after being united. Meanwhile, Queen stops Lestat sucking the blood because he was drinking it excessively. Then Queen pushes Lestat away. Then rest of the vampires begin to suck the blood of Queen, appearing there. But Queen burns some of the vampires to death. Some vampires suck Queen's blood too much. Due to this, Queen's powers were quite ended. Now Lestat again moves to drink the blood of Queen, but Jesse's aunt forbids him to take the last drop of the blood, because Lestat will also be ended with her if he takes the last drop of her blood. Now Jesse's aunt drinks the last drop of blood, so Queen is disappeared after turned into smoke, and Jesse's aunt is also turned into statue like Queen. After this, Lestat brings Jesse into her consciousness. In the end of the movie, both move to David. Now Jesse had also turned into a vampire. Seeing her, David is very shocked. Now Lestat says to David while giving his journal, "No one keep it more secure than you, so keep it in your possession now." And David gets overexcited, and Lestat and Jesse move away. In this way, this movie completes on this scene.